My name is Brian Koo. I go by either Brian or BK. I am international age, right? Gotta go by international age, 34. And I grew up in America. I went there when I was 6. So I was born in Korea, but I moved to America when I was 6. And I grew up in Chicago for the early part of my childhood. And then in middle school or junior high, that's when I went to Denver, Colorado. And I was there for 12 years. And it's been 11 years since I've come to Korea. My parents are here now. I have a little brother. He's 12 years younger than me. And he's still in Denver. Yeah, he's a good kid. Yeah. So I went to the States in 93. Let me first say that from first grade to 12th grade, I went to 10 different schools because we were just always moving around. And so I was always a new kid, but at that time, there weren't that many Asians in general. So I was always a new Asian kid. So growing up in Chicago, the only thing that was really fun and the only where I felt relatable the most was church. Because church, I was there for about 5 years. But everywhere else, I was always moving around. Up until I was in high school, the longest that I ever stayed at one school was 3rd and 4th grade. It was definitely tough. Transitioning from Korea to America at an early age, at the age of 6 or 7-ish, that was shocking. I mean, yeah, at that age, you wanna make friends, but not being able to speak the language and having to just transition like that every single year almost. It was very tough. Yeah, it was very frustrating because kids used to tease me. And I remember in 2nd grade, so it wasn't up until 2nd or 3rd grade when I started kind of picking it up. Because I also went when I was young. There was an incident where kids would throw rocks at me, after school. And then me, I wasn't the type to be passive, so I would fight back. And if I did that, then the students would tell the principal or the teachers that, oh, Brian attacked us first, and I didn't know what was going on. And then so I'll get in trouble. And it's wait a minute, how come I have to sit here in detention while no, those kids didn't? Yeah, so that type of thing was really frustrating. I don't harbor any bitterness towards it because kids are, even if I grew up in Korea, there's always reason to be teased about something, right? You have a mole on your face, your ears are big. So they're always gonna tease you about it. But I think at that time, a lot of the pain was because I wanted to be their friend. And I wanted to feel belong. Yeah, that's what it was. I went to Community College Aurora. So initially I was going to get my degree from, get my, the 2-year degree and then transfer out. But then that's when I decided to come to Korea. I was able to study what I wanted to study, and then that's where it mattered to me. Where as far as before, up until that point, I was only studying, going to school just for my parents' sake. But then starting from college, I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. I feel always in the middle. Korean Americans would tell me oh, you're too Korean. Koreans would tell me, oh, you're too American. So it felt hard to feel like I belonged. Yeah. I think up until I came to Korea, and when I started meeting with, just Koreans that went through what I went through, so we call ourselves the 1.5s. Up until that point, I think I always, in a sense, wrestled with that. Yeah, I don't think I ever felt comfortable, because being with Koreans, there were things I was uncomfortable with the way that they were, especially with the hierarchy in that game. But with the Korean Americans, it's I felt in ways I felt disrespected, because they weren't playing in the hierarchy. So it's just back and forth, yeah. Now where I am, I realize that was meant for me. The always being in the middle, and that kind of allows for me to become a bridge. It's I understand both cultures. I know where they're coming from. I know why they like these things, why they dislike these things from both groups. So that allows for me to become a bridge in a center, so they can communicate better, and that's where I feel belong. Yeah, when I feel like I can just play that role, that's when I feel most comfortable. All right, I went to 군대 military, December 26, 2011. Not a good shock. Like, oh, it was more, it was very, it was excruciating. I mean, it's even, military is even tough for Koreans. But just being the independent person that I am. And like I said, when I was young, when I was even like, when things were like, when I felt like unfair, I would fight back. But in the Korean military, you can't do that. Even if you're going through some fires, if things are happening to you, you have to shut up. You have to just put your head down and shut up and say, I'm sorry, 잘못했습니다. Language was the second thing. That was the tough part of it, where I felt in position where this is not who I am, but why are you guys labeling me this way? Being portrayed as someone that I'm not, that's what I had the most difficulty with. But I gotta say that it made me understand the Korean society and made me understand my roots better. Yeah. It made me understand the way and the reason why my parents are the way that they are, and like a lot of the Korean adults. Many Koreans are driven with fear. Yeah. Even competition, the competitiveness, it's not more so for yourself, but it's for the approval of your parents because of fear of being forsaken, the fear of being, punished. Yeah, those are the things that I realized in the military. Because of my just ability to speak English and Korean, I do a lot of translating in the entertainment industry and translating MC. So I also MC for shows, festivals or concerts, fan meetings, just interacting and being that bridge for the artists and non-Korean fans or vice versa. Best part of it about what I do is feeling like this is something that I can do. It's like I feel like unique, and that's what I like. So having that position in the title where there are not many people doing it. In America, like the education that I had was learning to express yourself, learning to be independent, learning to kind of build your own dreams. And so that's given me the privilege of wanting to do new things. And so after military, what I did was I created my own curriculum, and that was to get myself in the music industry, was translating Korean music into English, translating it not like Google or like actually making it a remake of English version, and then teaching the artists with the English pronunciations. Yeah, so they're not saying like, I believe I can fry, but like, I believe I can fly. Oceans apart? No. Oceans apart. Like I made that in order to just to kind of strive for saying, hey, this kind of thing is needed in the industry. And it's like, I wanted to always just kind of feel unique in what I do. I didn't want to do what everyone else is doing, So I believe that's the education that I got in the States, and that's a huge privilege. It has definitely made where I want to get to more. It's become more solid than before. My Korean is definitely better than it was before. As far as when it comes to culture, I feel more Korean culture just because I haven't been in America for a long time. But when it comes to relationship and people, I still feel more American. There was a time where I wanted to be Korean, but then I realized like that's not my cup of tea. Putting on that Korean American suit, it protects me from living that very fast-paced mentality. It kind of helps me to kind of like slow down a bit and be a little more laid back. Especially when it comes to business, I could be more straightforward. Because with the whole Korean, when it comes to business and hierarchy and like ranks, you have to be in a certain way. But yeah, putting on that Korean American jacket or the suit allows me for me to express more, and they're okay with it. Oh, he's from America, so yeah. It's pros and cons. It's pros and cons. Because sometimes things will happen which is really unfair, where I don't agree with, like just ethically it's wrong, but then they would say, oh, you don't understand because you're from America. Where I'm like, no, it's not a matter of I'm from America or not. Like, you don't treat people that way. That sense of fear, I felt that ever since a young age, because my parents are Korean. My parents are super conservative, and they didn't communicate too well, you know. And so a lot of it was just like, just ordered, or else I'm gonna get memme, which is like, smack. And so the fear was instilled in me for a long time. I think it was not up until a couple years ago, where I'm still breaking out of it. I had to wake up and realize that why am I living like this? Why am I like nunchi buying this person, this authority? Why am I looking at them as if they're God when they're just human beings? I'm not even just talking about my parents. I'm talking about the whole system. And why am I being untreated? Why am I being treated like unfairly? And why am I living like this? Why am I obliging to that? I don't think I'd have realized what I've realized in the recent years if I was in America. But coming to Korea and military and just like the industry and the people that I was with, the church, it allowed me to see how broken I was. Understanding the Korean culture and society better, it allowed me to understand my Korean parents better. It allowed me for me to understand that they were doing their best, with what they were capable of doing. So in some sense, like it made me appreciate them more, than before. Yeah. If I had a more solid root of my identity and who I am, whether that be self-esteem or confidence, I think I would have been able to protect myself better. But just even talking about fear and all of those things, I regret some of the choices that I made because I realized that I wasn't helping myself first. Like we're not God. In a way, like we could only give so much of what we have. But a lot of times I felt so obligated. Those are done out of fear. Fear of not being accepted, the fear of not being respected or approved. I believe, and I still think like this, when you can help others in need, when you can, yes, please help people, help those in need. But when you're not capable of doing that, it's okay. Take care of yourself first. So not in a sense that's like selfish, like I know, like take all that for yourself. But if you can't even take care of yourself, if you need help right now, just then don't feel too obligated to do things for others. Watch yourself. My name is BK Brian Koo, and this is my Korean American story.